The phrases mainnet, also called main network, and testnet, also called test network, are used to define blockchain networks that provide essential functions within the context of the blockchain ecosystem. The actual transactions that take place within the network are to be recorded on the blockchain and carried out by the mainnet. This makes the transactions available to the entire public. The mainnet is responsible for carrying out the transactions. On the other hand, in contrast to the mainnet, the testnet is an alternative environment that replicates the mainnet's operational capabilities. This environment makes it possible for developers to design and test applications without the need to permit real transactions or make use of cryptocurrencies. This is because the environment does not require any of those things. Disclaimer: I'm not a financial advisor. The video is for informational and educational purposes only. Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto Trends. In today's video, we'll talk about mainnet and testnet. We will also look at the difference between mainnet and testnet environments. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is a mainnet? The original version of the blockchain, which is still in use and is referred to as the mainnet, is the site in the distributed ledger where actual transactions take place. Additionally, the mainnet is the only location where native coins have any type of meaningful economic value. Mainnet is a blockchain that is fully functioning and may be used to transmit and receive any transaction, including cryptocurrencies and non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, as well as transfer information. Mainnets are also known as public blockchains. The conveyance of information can also be accomplished through these mainnets. The transactions that happen within the network and are recorded on the blockchain are handled by the mainnet. These transactions are responsible for the mainnet's existence. When the developers of a blockchain launch its mainnet, it displays that they have complete faith in the capabilities of their blockchain. For example, Ethereum and Bitcoin are both examples of open-source blockchain technology. These technologies are publicly verifiable and carry out valid transactions in the mainnet environment that have real economic value. A transaction fee paid in the native currency is something that must be paid by every person that takes part in a blockchain transaction. This is done to incentivize miners to validate transactions and to stop spam from being distributed across the blockchain. Why do we need a mainnet? Credibility. A project that already has a functioning mainnet has an unquestionably higher level of credibility than one that does not. The existence of a functioning mainnet makes it possible to form a living ecosystem of participants, which in turn makes it possible for participants to engage in real-time interactions and transactions while maintaining complete transparency. In the context of the blockchain ecosystem, a project is merely conceptual if it does not have a mainnet because there is no actual functional product for participants to evaluate. Verifiable proof of advancement. The blockchain is a distributed public ledger that records every transaction that can be accessed by anybody. We are able to regain our full rights to check each of our transactions in order to guarantee that we are kept up to date on the status of such transactions. When a project already has a mainnet, it demonstrates that it is operational and making progress on a technological level. Furthermore, a live mainnet would test the capabilities of the blockchain in light of the fact that the general public would be able to participate in the network and that any failure would put the inner workings of the blockchain in jeopardy. As a consequence of this, launching the mainnet requires a significant amount of time and work to ensure that all of the components are operating as they should before proceeding. Actual transactions occur on the mainnet. As previously stated, the mainnet is the location where all actual transactions take place. It is a blockchain platform that is fully functional, and it gives users the ability to send and receive cryptocurrency transactions as well as any other kind of digital data that is kept on a distributed ledger. How does mainnet work? A live platform that allows users to conduct transactions using cryptocurrencies and tokens is known as a mainnet. A mainnet is a distinct blockchain that runs on its own network and makes use of its own protocol and technologies. Working on a mainnet. What may and cannot be done on the mainnet is established by the consensus method that the particular network employs. For example, blockchain networks that make use of proof of work give miners the ability to validate transactions and collect block rewards for their efforts. On the other hand, transactions on proof of stake blockchain mainnets are confirmed by stakers based on the amount of network stake they own, and stakers get the transaction fees paid by users. Transactions that take place on the mainnet make use of the native cryptocurrency and tokens of the network, and the distributed ledger keeps track of these transactions. Mainnet Use Cases. The underlying code of the majority of blockchains is made public shortly after the launch of a cryptocurrency's mainnet. Users are more likely to place their trust in projects that are open source. There are options for both security qualities, including anti-spam capabilities and other mainnet features. The functionality of the blockchain may be validated on the mainnet. It gives to members of the general public a welcome and open invitation to become members of the network. The use cases that are generated by the mainnet application pave the way for additional decentralized applications, or dApps, to join the blockchain. What is a testnet? A testnet is a blockchain network that enables blockchains and blockchain projects to be run and tested before they are officially launched. Before making their work accessible to the general public, software developers and programmers can utilize this straightforward way to design, modify, and test the functionality of their project, in addition to monitoring its performance. Testnet is utilized rather regularly over the course of the development process. Consider, for example, the situation in which you are tasked with designing new functionality that requires you to send and receive local money in order to complete the assignment. Testnets for blockchains are essentially carbon copies of the main network's protocol. They use the same software and hardware to replicate the main network's capabilities and do the same tasks. Nevertheless, developers and testers can evaluate the practicability of a system by carrying out transactions, even though they are not risking the loss of actual mainnet money in the process. Testnet is an extension of the Ethereum blockchain that provides a setting that is both dynamic and suited for testing decentralized applications and smart contracts. Why is a testnet important? The execution of test scenarios and the finding of bugs are made easier with the assistance of the testnet in the process of constructing a reliable and a usable environment that contains all of the necessary hardware and software components. Cost. During the testing period, you will be required to pay blockchain fees for every transaction, update, and time that a project is deployed. These payments will be frequent, and they will be repeated often. It is not an unreasonable conclusion to draw from this that high prices are required in order to evaluate a product thoroughly and investigate the numerous options it offers. For instance, if a problem happens on the main network when the test phase is being conducted, it might disrupt the entire network, as well as the assets and transactions of its users, which can result in people losing money. Testing on the mainnet can be extremely expensive for the cryptocurrency's developers and can be detrimental to the cryptocurrency's image in general. The effort required can be decreased with the use of testnets, and a completed product can be made available to the general public after running a successful test. Quality assurance. When it comes to putting high-performing, bug-free apps on a network, quality assurance is one of the most important components. As more and more businesses use a shift-left methodology for improving application quality, the validity of a test result is becoming considerably defined by a wide variety of restrictions and components. As a consequence of this, developers need access to a testing environment that simulates conditions on the mainnet. Compatibility. Because coins from the test network are incompatible with currencies from the main network, and vice versa, it is necessary to create new coins or techniques. This results in a procedure that is significantly more time-consuming, intricate, and expensive. However, before to launch, every new project needs to be validated on a testnet, which is a distinct blockchain that has its own genesis block. Those working in the crypto market are able to maintain their independence from any trial and error operations, despite the fact that developers are allowed to test every blockchain component prior to its release. How does testnet work? Testnet is essentially an environment that simulates the mainnet, and its functionality is identical to that of the mainnet. The testnet is just an experiment, whereas the mainnet is the functioning network in which transactions are really processed in the real world. Contrary to transactions that take place on the mainnet, those that take place on the testnet do not have an inherent value. Testnet Use Cases. A testnet is a sandbox in which initiatives that will be published on the chain for public involvement can be tested before they are made available to the public. On a testnet, tokens have no value, and the costs of conducting activities on the mainnet using real money are higher than they are on a testnet. The number of transactions that take place on a testnet is often low, which makes things simpler for software engineers and quality assurance analysts. Testnet Ethereum Virtual Machine or EVM chains. Some of the most well-known testnet Ethereum Virtual Machine EVM chains include Ethereum Classic Test, Rinkeby Testnet, Polygon Mumbai Testnet, Ropsten Testnet, Boba Network Rinkeby Testnet, Telos EVM Testnet, Binance Smart Chain Testnet, Pulse Chain Testnet, Avalanche Fuji Testnet, Aurora Testnet, Telos EVM Testnet, Mainnet Vs Testnet. If the mainnet is the entity that exists in the real world, then the testnet is the laboratory where blockchain initiatives are tested to determine whether or not they are ready to be deployed on the mainnet. This evaluation occurs before a decision is made regarding whether or not to deploy them on the mainnet. It is not a question of whether the mainnet is preferable to the testnet or mainnet. Rather, the focus should be on the application that you desire to utilize. This is because there is no clear-cut winner between the two networks. While it is advised to use testnet for the entirety of a project's development phase, mainnet use can begin once the development phase of the project has achieved its completion stage. Conclusion. Despite the fact that blockchain protocols use and refer to a number of settings or stages, the primary development stages of the great majority of blockchain protocols are successfully encompassed by the testnet and mainnet descriptors. As a consequence of this, it is of the utmost importance to have a comprehensive comprehension of the major differences between them, as well as the stages at which they are utilized. So, what are your thoughts about mainnet and testnet? Should a blockchain do testnet or directly be published to mainnet? What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comment section down below. With that being said, here we come to the end of our video. I hope you like this video. If so, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss any video. See you in the next video. Till then, take care. Thanks for watching.